here we are. We're going to rig and animate a 2D character in Blender 4.0. We start here with the splash screen. Click on 2D animation. We're in draw mode. We're going to put it in object mode. We're going to click on stroke, press X to delete, and zoom out with Control Option, right mouse click, drag. That's if you have emulate 3-button mouse. Input, emulate numpad, emulate 3-button mouse. Or you can navigate in another way depending on what kind of mouse you have. All right. This is 2D animation, but we have this 3D space. To come in and out of the camera, we press 0 and 0 again to go back into the camera. We're in object mode, Shift A. We go down to image, images as planes. You might not have this add-on selected, so you go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, search for Import Images. Import images as planes. I have it checked on. Check that on if you haven't done so. And we're back. Shift A, Image, Images as planes. Search for the images. A to select all. Import images as planes. There they are. They load. Great. So, to move them, we'll press G. We'll move them on the X-axis to slide them over. There's 15 of them, as you can see over here. Zoom out. All right. We want to bring them closer, so we'll press G and Y to move them on the Y-axis. Go back into camera view. I want them a little closer, but what I'm going to do first is get the head within the camera. So click over here in the outliner, head, with the cursor in the 3D viewport, which is this area right here. Press G to move on the X-axis, press X, and slide left. There it is. Great. All right, so I do want the images a little bigger, so I'll select them all over here. Click on the top one, scroll down with Shift. There they're all selected. Leave camera view. GY, bring them in a little more. 0 back in the camera view. Great, I feel good about the size. Okay. So we have the head. Next up, we want to select the chest. But since these are transparent PNGs, sometimes it's a little hard to know what we're selecting. So I like to do it in the outliner. So click on chest with the 3D cursor and with the cursor in the 3D viewport, GX, slide it over. I'll move it down a little bit. Not too much because my character is designed in such a way that the head and the chest go into each other. There's not really a neck. All right, then we're gonna have the arm, upper left, GX, right there. There you go. Arm, upper right, GX. All right, right here, the arm is behind the chest. I want it to be in front, so I'll leave camera view. And I'll zoom in a little so you can see. Press GY to just slightly slide it forward. And now it's in front. Okay, so I'll do the lower arms, arm lower left. That one's sliding in from the right. And this is important. I don't want to put it right there, like that. I want to overlap a little bit because when the joint moves, I still want it to be to look connected. Think of this as an actual paper puppet where you need a little overlap. And this is the digital version. Okay, arm lower right, bring it over. Then I'll do the hips. So I want the hips to be slightly lower, but I want it to be behind the torso. So I'll press GY, move it a little behind. Great. And over here, you can see that the forearm of the right arm is behind. We want it in front because when this arm moves in front of the chest, we're going to want the lower arm to also be in front, like the upper arm is. Okay, so arm lower right. It's a good idea to name each individual transparent PNG of the character as the body part that it is. Okay, back into camera view. I have all the PNGs separated for each part of the body. We're going to now do the left hand. It's right there. Okay, great. GX, slide it in. Right hand, GX, slide it in. This is also something that I'm going to want to have in front. GY, move it in front a little bit. Only a little bit, it doesn't have to be too much. Okay, leg upper left. Bring it over. This one I'll also move down a little bit, like how we did with the hips. Leg upper right. All right, there we are. Move it down slightly. I'm going to move it over to the right. Okay, so take your time with this step. Position everything exactly where you want. Now we're going to do the lower legs, lower left. So here we're going to want to move them down. And like I was saying, you want the slight overlap so that when the joint bends, it still looks connected. All right. All we need now are the feet. Foot left. All right, here we are. We want to move it down, but also in the front. This might be different depending on your character, but the concept of positioning everything, all the overlaps correctly, is going to most likely apply to you as well. All right, great. Everything looks good. Now we're going to want to add Shift A, armature single bone. Okay, the bone appears there, but we have to leave camera view, and we'll notice that the bone's quite far away. So we'll press GY, slide it forward. The idea is to get it to be exactly where the character is. Maybe not exactly, but just about right there. That's where our character is. Okay. That's what we're going for. All right. So we'll go back into camera view, scale it down with S. We'll move it over with G, put the bottom of the bone at the bottom of the pelvis. You can zoom in, scale it down. That looks good. And now we'll go into edit mode. Okay, so to select the bone, you can click on it. What we want to do is we want to click on the top. See how that turns orange? Press E to extrude, go up. And we want to have this ball right here be at the pivot point of the joint. So when I arrived here, which is where I want the head to pivot, I just clicked with the mouse, left mouse button, and solidified that selection. Now I can press E again, have another bone come out to the top of the head, left mouse button click, there it is. Now I go down to the neck, I click that with the left mouse button, press E to extrude another bone, and this is going to be where the shoulder rotates. I click that, that's where I want the pivot point to be. Now I go down to the elbow. From the elbow I go down to the wrist, and then the hand. And then I do the other arm. Shoulder where I want it to pivot. I'm thinking right about there, great. Extrude another bone, elbow. Go to the wrist, where I want it to rotate, right there, bend right there. Fingers. Now I go to the bottom of the chest bone, extrude for the pelvis, and that's where the top of the leg is going to rotate. I go down to the knees, right there. Now I go down to the ankle, right there, and the foot. I do it for the right leg. Right there. Extrude, go down to the knee. Go down to the ankle. Go to the end of the foot. Great. Now I go back to object mode. Leave camera view, see how I'm doing. It looks good. Alright, so I'm feeling really good about this. Go back into camera view. Remember to save your project periodically. Now, with my armature selected, I go over here, I can go to pose mode. This is where we're going to parent, what's called parent, the body parts that are images to the bones of the armature. This is the armature. So we select right here in the outliner the different images that are the body parts. So right now, I'm going to select arm lower left. I'm in pose mode with the armature. This is important, you're in pose mode with the armature. And I selected in the outliner arm lower left. Arm lower left is this one. So I click it. It lights up blue. and I hit Control P, as in parent. So set parent to bone. All right, this little line appears, and if I press R to rotate, it moves. Okay, Command Z to undo the movement so that it's back exactly to where I wanted it to be previously, since I haven't finished parenting. And now I keep going. Arm lower right is over here. Selected, it goes blue, Control P, parent to bone. And as you can see, those body parts in the outliner are disappearing, but actually they're not disappearing. They're right here. They're within the armature now. So arm upper left is this. Control P, bone. Arm upper right. Control P, bone. Chest. Okay, we finished parenting everything, and now we can check to see how it moves. Looks great. If we move the arm at the shoulder, it moves the lower arm and the hand. If we put it in front, this is what I was talking about. Great. It's going in front of the chest. It's going in front of the shorts. And the left arm, which is on the other side, is going to go behind. Okay, so right there, the hand does not. So we'll adjust that. Hand left, select it. We'll go into object mode, leave the camera view. Just move it slightly. And now, back to the armature, pose mode. Great. But actually, it's not going behind the hips, the middle of the shorts, so we'll adjust that as well. I think the shorts, the hips, can move forward. So we'll go back to object mode. We'll go to hips, leave camera view, and notice that we can move it slightly forward. All right, back to the armature. Pose mode. Rotate the arm again. How are we looking? Still, let me see. Still some adjustments can be made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the upper arm, lower arm, and hand of the left side. I'll move them back. Arm upper left, move it slightly back. Arm lower left, move it slightly back with G and Y. And hand left. And there we go. That's what we wanted. Great. All right. Perfect. Okay. We have our character parented with the rig. Great. We move this up and we're going to start animating. We're in the dope sheet, but we want to be in the dope sheets, dope sheet. So dope sheet, dope sheet. Here we are. We'll select, we're in the first frame. We'll select the entire rig by pressing A. We'll turn off automatic keyframes. We'll be here in the 3D viewport, press I and select rotation, location, rotation, and scale. And this is what we have. Frame 1, okay, we'll go to frame 20, or whichever frame you'd like to go. We'll make some adjustments over here. We'll move our character around a little bit. Maybe they're waving a little bit. Their feet are maybe moving slightly, just a little bit. We'll press A to select all, press I and select location, rotation, and scale. And we'll look at our work. It works. Amazing. All right, so now if you want to adjust where the keyframes are, you can just select them. Left mouse button and slide them over. You can copy and paste the keyframes. Go to a different keyframe, let's say 35. We'll adjust our rig again. Press A to select all, I to make a keyframe, and we'll select location, rotation, and scale. All right, let's check it out again. Amazing. All right, so we'll stop at 60. That's the next keyframe. We'll select the hip bone, rotate it a little bit, select the top of the leg, adjust, make some adjustments. A to select all, I to insert a keyframe at location, rotation, and scale. Go forward a few frames. We'll rotate the chest a little bit. A to select all, I to insert the keyframe at location, rotation, and scale. Let's see how we're doing. All right, I'm feeling good. I'll slide these over, and I'll add some more keyframes. Alright, so this is what we have. I keyframed the different positions. Right here, this is to play. These on the side with the little arrow pointing to one side with the diamond is to move to the next keyframe. As you can see, I'm scrolling across the dope sheet to every keyframe. This is to go back across the keyframes. This is to go to the first frame, and over here, the last frame. So we save the project. Now we want to go to output and choose the folder where we're going to export. We're going to export as PNGs. Each frame is going to be an individual PNG. The reason we want to do this is so that in case of a crash, if Blender crashes when we are exporting, we'll have all the frames up to the point when it crashed, so that afterwards we can render out from the last frame before the crash up until the last frame of the complete animation. This only adds one step, but it's a great idea. I recommend it. Let's choose the folder to output the PNGs to. I've made a folder titled PNGs. Great. Everything looks good. Go to render, animation. And here you can see what frame is being rendered. All right, we've gone to 250. We're done. Close that window and save the file. And now we can watch the project. Great, nice job. We rigged and animated a 2D character in Blender 4.0. Try it out. Have a nice time. Have a nice day. Thank you.